There comes a time in everyone's life when we feel stuck, confused, and completely lost. We look around and wonder, what am I even doing? Where am I headed? What's the point? If you've ever felt this way, I want you to know something. You are not broken, and you are not alone. Feeling lost is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you are alive, evolving, and on the edge of transformation. The first thing you must do when you feel lost is stop running from the feeling. Too many people distract themselves with noise, endless scrolling, or numbing habits, thinking that avoiding the feeling will make it go away. But the truth is, being lost is your soul's way of telling you, pause, look within, reset. Sometimes you're not supposed to have all the answers right away. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is be still and listen. Next, remind yourself that clarity doesn't come in one big moment. It comes in small steps. You don't need to figure out your entire life today. You just need to take the next best step. Maybe it's picking up a book that sparks something in you. Maybe it's reaching out to someone who inspires you. Maybe it's starting a new habit, or maybe it's simply writing down your thoughts. One step leads to another, and before you know it, the fog begins to lift. When you feel lost, reconnect with your values. Ask yourself, what really matters to me? What do I care about deeply? Too often, we feel lost because we're living by someone else's definition of success. The world tells you to chase money, fame, or approval, but none of those things will guide you if they're not true to your heart. When you live by your values, even if you don't know the final destination, every step will feel meaningful. And finally, remember this, being lost is often the first step to being found. Think about it. No great story, no hero's journey ever began with someone who had everything figured out. The struggles, the confusion, the setbacks, they're not signs of failure, they're part of your path. Life isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. So if you feel lost right now, don't give up. Don't see it as the end. See it as the beginning. Use this moment to slow down, reflect, and take one brave step forward. Your future self will thank you, because one day you'll look back at this time and realize it wasn't the moment you broke down, it was the moment you broke through. When life feels confusing, overwhelming, and uncertain, the natural instinct is to fight against it. We want to fix everything immediately, to escape the discomfort of being lost. But the truth is, resisting the feeling only makes it stronger. Imagine being caught in quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. The first step is not to thrash around, but to pause, breathe, and accept where you are. Acceptance does not mean you've given up. It means you are acknowledging reality. It means saying to yourself, yes, I feel lost. Yes, I don't have all the answers right now. But that's okay, because this is a chapter, not the whole story. Too many people waste energy trying to deny the emotions that come with being lost. Fear, sadness, confusion, even anger. But those emotions are signals. They are not your enemy. They are guiding you toward reflection, telling you that something in your life needs attention. When you accept the feeling, you take away its power to control you. You stop running from it and instead stand still long enough to learn from it. Acceptance creates space for clarity. Think of a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the mud never settles. But if you put the glass down and let it rest, slowly the dirt falls to the bottom and the water becomes clear. Your mind works the same way. If you keep pushing, distracting, and pretending, you never give yourself the chance to see things clearly. But if you pause and simply allow yourself to feel, slowly clarity begins to return. The most courageous thing you can do when you feel lost is not to run, but to sit with yourself. To put away the distractions, the noise, the comparisons, and listen deeply. Acceptance is powerful because it turns the chaos into calm. It reminds you that being lost is not permanent. It's just a phase, and every phase has a lesson. You don't need to know all the answers today. You don't need to have your life perfectly figured out. What you need is to trust that this pause is meaningful, that the very act of stopping to breathe, reflect, and accept is what will open the door to your next direction. Great transformations often start in moments of stillness, not in endless action. So the next time you feel lost, don't panic. Don't label yourself as broken or behind. Simply pause, breathe, and say, I am exactly where I need to be right now, even if I don't see the full picture. That pause is not wasted, it is preparation. And one day you'll look back and realize that the moment you accepted feeling lost was the moment you began to find yourself again. When you feel lost in life, the temptation is always to look outside for answers. We scroll through social media, compare ourselves to others, ask everyone else for advice, and search for the perfect plan that will suddenly make everything clear. But the truth is, the answers you're searching for will never be found in someone else's story. They live inside of you, and the only way to uncover them is to reconnect with yourself. Reconnecting with yourself means creating the space to hear your own voice again. Think about how noisy the world is: notifications buzzing, people demanding your attention, society shouting its version of success in your ears. With all that chaos, it's no wonder you feel disconnected. Silence has become rare, but it is in silence that you rediscover who you truly are. That's why journaling, meditation, and self-reflection are so powerful. They are not just habits, they are lifelines. They pull you back into alignment with your deepest truth. Start by asking yourself simple but powerful questions. What do I really want? What makes me feel alive? What kind of life do I want to create for myself? These aren't questions you answer in one sitting. They are questions you sit with, return to, and allow to evolve over time. The key is not to rush for a perfect answer, but to create an honest dialogue with yourself. Journaling is one of the most effective tools for this because it allows you to pour out your thoughts without judgment. When you write freely, patterns emerge. You begin to see what you've been ignoring, what excites you, and what drains you. Another way to reconnect with yourself is through solitude. It doesn't mean isolating yourself completely, but intentionally spending time away from distractions. Take a walk without headphones, sit in nature. Close your eyes and breathe. In these moments, you begin to notice your thoughts more clearly. You start to feel what feels right for you, rather than what you've been told should be right. The deeper you go into self-connection, the more you realize that you've always had a compass within you. You just stopped listening to it. Reconnecting with yourself is also about honesty. It takes courage to admit what's not working in your life. Maybe you've been pursuing a path that doesn't fulfill you. Maybe you've been carrying dreams that don't belong to you, but were placed there by others. When you reconnect with yourself, you give yourself permission to let go of the masks, the expectations, and the pressure. You step back into authenticity. Remember, you cannot find your way forward if you are disconnected from your own heart. The world may offer you 1,000 directions, but unless you are aligned with yourself, every path will feel wrong. When you take the time to pause, reflect, journal, meditate, and simply be with yourself, you slowly begin to see the light again. You may not uncover your entire life plan in one day, but you will begin to feel a sense of clarity, a quiet knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. Reconnecting with yourself is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about learning to trust your own inner wisdom again. And when you build that trust, even if you still feel a little lost, you'll know you are moving in the right direction, step by step. When you feel lost in life, one of the greatest mistakes you can make is believing that you need to figure everything out at once. The pressure to have a perfect plan, the right career path, the ideal relationship, or the ultimate life purpose can feel crushing. That weight can paralyze you, making you believe that until you know the big picture, you can't move forward. But the truth is, clarity doesn't come from overthinking. It comes from action, and not massive, overwhelming action, but small, intentional steps that slowly move you forward. Think about walking through a dark forest with only a flashlight in your hand. That flashlight doesn't reveal the entire path, it only shows you the next few steps ahead. Yet by trusting those few steps and moving forward, you eventually find your way out. Life works the same way. When you are lost, stop demanding the entire map and start focusing on the next best step you can take today. That step might feel small, even insignificant, but it has the power to lead you toward clarity. Small wins matter because they create momentum. When you set a huge, unclear goal like figure out my life, You feel defeated before you even begin. But when you shift your focus to something simple, like writing down your thoughts for 10 minutes, reading a chapter of an inspiring book, reaching out to a mentor, or trying a new skill, you give yourself the gift of progress. And progress, no matter how small, sparks hope. That hope fuels energy, and energy creates confidence. Suddenly, you're no longer standing still, you're moving forward. It's important to understand that small wins compound. One good choice leads to another, and over time, they build into something life-changing. If you're lost in your career, don't try to design the perfect future role. Just start by exploring what interests you. Take a short course, or volunteer for something new. If you feel lost in relationships, don't pressure yourself to find the one immediately. Start by reconnecting with people who bring positivity into your life. Each small action adds a piece to the bigger puzzle, and eventually, the picture becomes clearer. The beauty of small wins is that they shift your mindset. Instead of feeling powerless, you start to feel capable. Instead of drowning in uncertainty, you start swimming in possibility. The small steps remind you that you are not stuck. You are moving, growing, and learning. And even if you take a step in the wrong direction, it still teaches you something valuable. Being lost doesn't mean you are failing. It means you are in motion towards something new. So release the pressure to have it all figured out right now. Let go of the expectation that you must know your entire purpose in this moment. Focus on the next step, the next win, the next choice that feels aligned with your heart. Each step you take, no matter how small, is proof that you are not lost. You are on a journey, and journeys are built step by step, win by win. When you feel lost in life, one of the most powerful yet often overlooked truths is this: the energy you surround yourself with shapes the person you become. People, environments, conversations, even the content you consume, these all feed your mindset and influence how you see yourself and the world. If you are surrounded by negativity, constant criticism, and voices that tell you you can't, it's no wonder you feel stuck. But the moment you shift your environment and begin surrounding yourself with the right energy, everything starts to change. Think of yourself as a seed. Even the most powerful seed won't grow if it's planted in toxic soil. It won't matter how much potential lies within. It needs the right environment to thrive. You are no different. When you feel lost, it's not always about lacking ability or ambition. Sometimes it's about being in the wrong soil. Maybe the people around you drain your energy, or the spaces you spend time in pull you further into confusion instead of clarity. Recognizing this is the first step toward taking back your power. Start by evaluating who and what you allow into your world. Who do you spend the most time with? Do they lift you higher, or do they bring you down? Are you consuming stories, books, podcasts, and conversations that inspire you to think bigger, or are you drowning in gossip, complaints, and fear? You may not realize it, but every interaction is either feeding your growth or starving it. When you're lost, it becomes even more critical to choose wisely. Surrounding yourself with the right energy doesn't just mean finding perfect people who always motivate you. It means intentionally curating your circle and your environment to remind you of who you want to be, even on the days you forget. It could be a friend who encourages you to keep going, a mentor who guides you, or simply immersing yourself in positive content daily. Sometimes the right energy doesn't come from people at all. It comes from books, music, or communities of like-minded individuals who share your hunger for growth. The truth is, energy is contagious. If you walk into a room filled with fear and doubt, you will feel it in your bones. But if you step into a space filled with passion, hope, and determination, it ignites something within you. When you're lost, you need that spark. You need to be reminded of possibilities greater than your current perspective. That's why the right energy isn't just helpful, it's necessary. And here's the beautiful part. Once you surround yourself with positivity, you don't just absorb it. You begin to radiate it. You become the right energy for others. You begin to influence instead of being influenced, inspire instead of being drained. That shift gives you strength, clarity, and the courage to keep moving forward. So if you feel lost, take a good look at your environment and your relationships. Ask yourself if they reflect where you want to go or if they're holding you back. Then make the brave choice to step into spaces and with people who fuel your soul. Because sometimes finding your way again isn't about changing who you are, it's about changing what and who you surround yourself with. When you feel lost in life, it is often because you've drifted away from what truly matters to you. Somewhere along the way, you may have started chasing goals that weren't really yours, following expectations that belonged to others, or measuring your life by standards that don't align with your heart. This is why revisiting your core values is such a powerful step toward clarity. Your values are like a compass. They point you toward the direction that feels authentic and fulfilling, even when everything else seems uncertain. Without them, you wander in circles. With them, you begin to find your way again. Core values are not just fancy words written on paper. They are the principles that define who you are at your best. They are the truths that make you feel alive and aligned. For one person, it might be growth, learning, and adventure. For another, it could be family, service, and faith. When you lose touch with your values, life begins to feel empty, even if on the outside, everything looks successful. That's why people can have wealth, status, or recognition and still feel miserable inside. Success without alignment feels like failure. Revisiting your values means asking yourself tough but liberating questions. What matters most to me? What do I stand for? What makes me proud of who I am? Often, the answers are already within you. You just need to clear away the noise of the world to hear them again. It might help to reflect on moments when you felt truly fulfilled. What were you doing? Who were you with? What qualities were you living out in that moment? Those moments hold clues to your deepest values. Once you identify your core values, you begin to understand why certain parts of your life feel heavy and draining. Maybe you've been in a job that goes against your value of creativity. Maybe you've been in relationships that clash with your value of respect. Maybe you've been ignoring your health, even though you value vitality. When you feel lost, it's not always because you lack direction. It's often because you're walking in a direction that doesn't reflect who you really are. The beautiful thing about values is that they give you clarity in decision making. You no longer need to have the entire roadmap figured out. You simply measure every choice by one question. Does this align with my values? If the answer is yes, you move forward. If it's no, you let it go. Over time, these aligned decisions create a life that feels purposeful and true. Revisiting your core values doesn't mean your life will instantly become easy. Challenges will still come, but the difference is, when you are living in alignment, even struggle feels meaningful. You're not just going through life, you're growing through it. You know deep down that you're on the right path, even if the destination is still unfolding. So when you feel lost, don't look for someone else's definition of success. Go back to your foundation, revisit your values, rediscover what lights your soul on fire. Because once you live by your values, you'll realize you were never truly lost. You were just being called back to yourself. When you feel lost in life, it's easy to see it as a failure, as if being uncertain means you've gone backward or wasted time. But what if feeling lost wasn't a setback at all? What if it was an invitation to grow? Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has faced seasons of confusion, doubt, and directionless wandering. It is in those very seasons that the seeds of transformation are planted. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" begin to ask, "What is this teaching me? How can this moment help me grow?" That simple shift in mindset turns being lost into an opportunity for expansion. Think about how growth happens in nature. A caterpillar doesn't transform into a butterfly overnight. There is a stage where it must retreat into the cocoon, a stage that looks dark, lonely, and uncertain. If you judge the process only by that stage, it would seem like an ending, but it isn't, it's preparation. The struggle inside the cocoon is what strengthens the butterfly's wings so it can fly. In the same way, the times when you feel lost are not wasted. They are shaping you into the person you need to become. Turning lost into growth means embracing the discomfort instead of running from it. Growth doesn't happen when everything is easy and clear. It happens when you are stretched, tested, and forced to dig deeper into yourself. This is the time to build resilience, patience, and self-awareness. You begin to uncover strengths you didn't know you had, simply because life demanded it of you. When you feel lost, you are being given the chance to rewrite your story, to shed old versions of yourself that no longer serve you, and to step into something greater. Another powerful way to turn feeling lost into growth is by shifting your perspective on mistakes. Many people stay stuck because they are afraid of choosing the wrong path, but there is no wrong path if you are learning. Every choice you make teaches you something. Every misstep reveals a truth, redirects you, and adds wisdom to your journey. Growth doesn't mean you never stumble. It means you rise stronger each time you do. When you see being lost as a classroom rather than a curse, you realize you are not failing, you are evolving. And perhaps the most important part of turning lost into growth is realizing that clarity comes through movement, not waiting. You don't need to have the perfect plan to begin again. You just need to keep learning, keep exploring, and keep trusting that this season has purpose. Over time, the lessons you gather from being lost will become the very foundation of your strength. One day you will look back and realize that the times you felt most confused were the times that built your character, your vision, and your courage. So instead of fearing the moments when you feel lost, welcome them. See them for what they are, a sacred opportunity to grow into who you were meant to be. Being lost is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of a stronger, wiser, more resilient you.